Brothers, we do not want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep or to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope. We believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus to those who have fallen asleep in him.
We just want to say that we love you so much, and we love your boys, and we think about you every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month. And your boys were such blessings, and I love more than anything hearing stories about Asa and Eli. Nothing delights me more than seeing their videos and hearing stories about them. I just love meeting them, seeing their smiles, seeing their curls, seeing parts of you, Brian, and parts of you, Samantha, and those precious, precious boys. I just think about what Asa and Eli mean to me, and I just remember the thousands of prayers that went up on their behalf from all of our Galveston friends before we even knew those sweet boys. How we just prayed for them that they would come into your life, and how when they did, we loved them even more than before they were here. And I'm so thankful that you had the time that you had with them, and I'm so thankful that even they were so loved here, they're so much more loved by Jesus now.
I would sit at the computer and Eli would come up and he'd say up, and he wanted to sit in my lap and see what the computer was all about, and then about 6 seconds later he was ready to get moving. Well, I was on one side of the bonus room and Ace was on the other side, and he had found this piece of plastic cheese that we use in our kitchen playtime, and he would put the cheese behind his back and run full speed to me, and then he'd stick that cheese in my face, and I'd say, "Give me that cheese." He would roll on the ground laughing, and then he'd take off to the other side of the bonus room so he could do it over and over and over. We must have done this, I don't know, 20 times, and he would cackle every single time. So I kept this sweet little piece of cheese in memory of Asa.
I wasn't there this day, but Colleen tells me, and I think about this quite often when they came over to the pool for a pool party, and there's a couple of things at Playdate, and there's a couple of things that stuck out, you know, in what she had shared with me about that day. The graham biters, the biter biscuits. One of the memories Colleen had of the boys was, I guess it was a first trial, the first time they had maybe ever kind of tried those things, and it was snack time, and then those were given to the boys, and apparently the combination of the crumbs and drool just made this amalgam, this resin that just stuck to them, and I think they had some honey in them or something, and it was just a complete mess and basically had to be hosed down. And I think it drove Samantha crazy. And
I had decided that day Anna Claire was never going to eat those butter biscuits.
I think one of my favorite memories of them was the trip to the zoo that all of us took, and I just clearly remember standing by the elephants, and Eli was standing, and he walked over to AJ, who was just fascinated with the elephants. He loves elephants. And Eli was bending over and talking to AJ, and they were just having this discussion about the elephants, pointing at them, and they'd look at each other and talk, and they weren't talking loud enough to understand what they were saying, and I mean, they weren't old enough to be able to say all that much yet, and I just loved it. I wanted to grab my camera and get a picture of it, but at the same time I just wanted to enjoy the moment, and I'm not sure I ever actually saw the elephants myself. I just was watching the two boys have this, you know, happy memory together.
Just how much they enjoyed each other and how they sat next to each other and watched Shark Christmas. That was fun. And then my other memories of the boys are almost all on your back deck. When Dad was, I think we came over for a barbecue, and Brian, you were making some corn on the grill, and the boys were running in and out of the doors, wanted to be everywhere Dad was, and I think it was particularly Asa who was climbing up a gate that you had set up in the outdoor kitchen to kind of keep them out of the kitchen, but he wanted to be in there where Dad was. And they were just always underfoot. And I remember also going down into the basement and playing air hockey with the boys and my kids and your kids all together, and just being excited about playing on the air hockey table and being down in the basement. That was a lot of fun.
The memories of the boys are them coming over and hanging out in our garage. They like to play on that little egg car. I remember one time, I think you just bought them some new clothes from Old Navy, and Asa had on brand new shoes, and you got in that egg car and it was rolling down towards the grass, and his feet were like doing like this and like scuffing the top of his brand new shoes, and I felt really bad. The other thing is that I think Eli loved that little radio flyer tricycle that we had, and but it didn't work because we ran over it. And finally one day I had hit it again or something where the wheel had come off, and finally I was like so happy. I'm like, now Eli will know that it won't work because the wheel fell off. Other things, I remember one day when Eli came over, I think you were out front doing some gardening or something, and Eli came flying over here around the corner. He was just smiling, and he ran over to our garage. I was so happy. I was like, oh cool, they're going to be sneaking over to our house all the time to see the girls.
I was on the back porch. I was just taking in the sunset or something, looking at the lake, looking at the beautiful view of the backyard. And Eli just comes up, climbs right up on top of the little love seat there with me, and just starts talking. And I have no clue what he was saying. Could have been talking about unemployment levels here. He could have been talking about the Braves center field platoon situation. I don't know. But for 5 or 10 minutes, he was just focused on talking to me. And I would try to respond to him. I'd nod my head affirmatively. I'd try to throw some words back at him. That's interesting. That's great, Eli. And we were just having this serious conversation. And that's just one of the most incredible feelings in the world, to have a little child seek and approach you and want to have a conversation with you. And there's just no better feeling than that.
The memories I have of Asa and Elijah were back when we first saw them, the times that we saw them when we came over to your house and Christmas and 4th of July. They were cute and lovable boys and had such a good personality.
You had us over for barbecue in the Georgia-South Carolina game, and I remember most specifically Eli and his "Go Dogs" and how cute that was, and as I'm sure you can still hear that. And I remember Asa up under the table running around with a wet potato chip, and just, you know, Kirk and the girls of course were there, and it seemed like everybody had such a good time. And I also remember when we were putting the hardwood floors down in the house that your dad was here, of course helping as he always does, and Eli came in, and Asa behind him, and Eli had to go get right next to your dad, down on his knees, and to just see what was going on when they were measuring those floors. He jumped right in there with him.
Some things I noticed about Asa, you know, and of course his MO being no fear Asa. One day when we had the big water slide over at your house, I tried to get him to go down the little slide, and he would have no part of it. In fact, he got mad at me, I think, and I had to let him get over and climb up the big slide, which he did no problem. I just remember thinking, holy cow, this is amazing. This kid's climbing up the big portion of the slide, and I'm trying to get him on the little part. The other thing I remember about Eli is, you know, maybe about a week or so before the boys passed, how how well he was throwing a baseball, or I don't know if it was a baseball, it was a ball, and he would take that thing and throw it right at me, and I would throw it back at him, and he was able to gather it up pretty quickly, and he could actually get a little bit of heat on that thing, and I just remember being amazed at how good he was at throwing that ball already.
I remember when you turned the corner and came down the sidewalk, seeing all of you, I was just overwhelmed with joy. You guys were just so cute. We met at the Sunflower, and their service was the worst I've ever seen. We sat there forever waiting, I think, just to even get water. Your guys were just, wasn't a place for them, and the time wasn't right. Plus, I know they're traveling, they're out of sorts. So I remember you guys being disturbed at their behavior. Of course, I was just so thrilled to just see them in person and be with them and just watch their little precious self. It was a very special time, and I'm so glad that you guys took some time to share with us, and I do treasure the memory.
My last memory of Asa and Eli was in August of that year in Kroger's. I ran into them with Brian's mother. Brian's mom was keeping Asa and Eli. And when I think of Asa and Eli, I think of a hope that I had for them and for our family to get to know one another more and to grow closer as a family.
Asa just kept coming up to me, going into the pantry, because I was going into the pantry and snooping around and seeing what he could find. And there was this giant bag of M&Ms that I had in there to bake something with. And he just kept coming up to me with the M&Ms, trying to get me to open them. We'd send them back, and a few minutes later he'd come back and try a new tact of getting me to open the M&Ms. And the funny thing was is that if his mom had left the room, I probably would have snuck him some M&Ms, but I couldn't do it with her sitting right there. And I just loved it. He kept trying. I think he sent Eli at some point, tried to get Eli to see if he could get the answer he wanted. But I still have that bag of M&Ms, and it's still in the same spot in the pantry, and I think it'll be there forever. Just love that bag of M&Ms now.
My favorite memory with Asa and Eli was having fun and playing together. Also, when they came over to stay for Easter and have an Easter egg hunt, it was so fun and great. I'm glad you're part of this family, and I miss the part when Asa was playing the puzzles with me, and he was playing the little Diego puzzle, and he took the piece, I had the piece that he said, and he said to me, I want that piece. Another thing I remember about Asa and Eli was when they would start to remember my name, and they would start calling me Abby, and how good that made me feel. And Miss Samantha would tell me that the boys are remembering your name, and how impressed I would be at how fast they learned my name. My favorite friend in the wee way, Asa and Eli, was going through the pond and throwing rock in the pond and going through the zoo. I remember when me and Asa were going upstairs, and he was rolling around in the tent, and that's it. The memories of Asa and Eli, when we were swinging on the swings, and we went down the slide, and we played in the sand, and we played in the water sometimes, and we always played together, and I wish they were here with us, always with us right now.
So beautiful when your dad would throw you up in the air, which he loved to do time and time again, and you just would giggle when he did that. And he would throw you up in the air, and then you would come back down giggling, and I noticed that your hair would just fan out around your face, and it was so blonde and so straight and so beautiful. I thought it looked like a halo around your face.
I enjoyed twirling them around, going round and round with them, and watching them smile and then try to stand up when they were so dizzy, doing it inside or outside, and them begging me to want to pick up and do it again and again.
We watched your personalities develop. Asa, you were no fear Asa. You were always the first to try new things, and your brother looked to you for leadership, and he would follow in your footsteps. Got a lot of stories of you, of course, being, climbing up the pantry shelves and being the first to crawl out of the crib. And
I loved the looks on their faces when they came down the stairs or when I came in the house. They would just light up, and that made me feel good and needed and wanted, and I cherished that.
Asa, one thing that I just thought was so precious when I would give you that bottle in the beanbag chair, and you were old enough to hold that bottle. You'd sit back in the beanbag chair and just latch onto that bottle like there's no tomorrow, and just suck on it as hard as you could, and every once in a while come up for air and just pull that thing out after sucking and go and then smile and put it back in and go at it again. But I mean, it was just too funny. You just have to see it.
When those two little guys, when they saw me and calling me Papa, I loved to hear that word Papa, and it was fantastic.
And you would politely take turns with each other to do ride the horsing. In fact, I couldn't even lay on my back without you thinking that, oh, it's time for ride the horsing. So you'd come running over and jump on me, and here we go.
I loved to push them around on their tricycles in the basement and pull them in their little wagon out back, although I only did that once with the wagon. I had to be careful that when Asa did what I did, pulling Eli or Eli pulling Asa was more like it.
And air hockey, my goodness. First time I saw you two guys climb up on those chairs and start hitting that hockey puck back and forth, it was just the cutest thing you can imagine. Those two little tiny bodies, and Asa or Eli, one, I think it was usually Asa that would go over and turn the air hockey game on. And they would both climb up in those chairs, and it was time to go and time to knock those things back and forth. Just to see 2-year-olds doing that was pretty incredible.
I loved playing baseball with Eli and Asa, and was just getting to teach them how to hold the bat, and they actually hit it a couple of times. I thought that was fantastic coordination at their age. And I would love to pitch the ball to them. I think they took after their father in that regard. Brian would always want to play pitch and catch. They did too.
Oh, the sandboxes. You had a precious sandbox you loved that was on a table. And that was even, I think, you played with that hardly just before you could walk. You could stand up and play with that sandbox.
I love seeing Eli waddle along on the floor. How he used to walk. Looked like a football player already. And how they would both dance to music that their mother had taught them to dance by.
Went over to Christy and Richard's house, and her dad and Papa were working on baseboard molding for her house. And Eli comes in and sees Papa in the floor on his hands and knees with Mr. Thomas, Bill Thomas, and he immediately goes over there and gets in the middle of the two of them, likewise on his hands and knees, and just crouches down to look at what they're doing and see what tools they're using and want to get in there and help them. And it was just the funniest thing, just to see him just want to get in there and help them and work on that little project.
They loved cars and trucks, and Eli would make noises like a choo-choo train.
And of course, the whole fruit snack story with Papa, and because he was such a pushover about giving you anything, and him leading you to the pantry to get fruit snacks.
There are so many good things to say about them. I loved giving them those fruit chews, regardless of whether their mother or father approved. I loved the look on their faces when they got those fruit chews before that dinner, several days before their passing. I thought that was fantastic, and I'd do it again.
It was Easter 2009, in the kitchen, and the boys just came strutting down, wearing nothing but their diapers, bellies hanging out. There should have been some music in the background. It was like something out of a new Baby Chippendales musical. They were just so proud of themselves. It looked orchestrated, and it was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen or ever will see. And I love the funny memories. There's so many funny memories with the two of them, but that one sticks out in my mind.
I remember going to the house, to Brian and Samantha's house, and thinking about what a great job they did going up and down the stairs, and the gate you guys had set up, and how talented they were about getting around up and down the stairs. And so the most clear memory I have of them, though, is of them on our staircase at our home, because I think we have, a relatively grand staircase. And I remember the first time we ever had little people on our staircase, it was the boys, and Samantha was so conscientious with them, taking them up and down the stairs. And
Ace and Eli thundering up those stairs and running around like two little boys are supposed to.
The Kirbys had just come back from their beach trip last year, and they wanted to stop by and see us, and we wanted to see them. We hadn't seen the boys yet, and so I remember meeting them at the road and helping the boys out of the car, and seeing their little white polo shirts with the E and the A on them, and anyway, coming up our driveway, and it was a Sunday afternoon, so we kind of looked forward to sort of a quiet Sunday lunch. I have two quiet little girls, and in our little house there, and so we're used to girls there. So we'll see how the girls would interact with the boys, and so we came in and got seated, and we're going to try and sit everybody around the table, and I feel like I just remember things started to kind of fall apart a little bit. I looked over in the den area, and the little Kirby boys were crawling all over the coffee table, under the coffee table, all over the couch, and my girls were just kind of sitting there wide-eyed. They hadn't experienced twins at this age before, and I was pretty wide-eyed myself. So that's my first memory of Asa and Eli, and it's a good one. Just two boys being boys.
One of the first things that your mommy and daddy taught you, even before you could talk, was to say, "Touchdown, Georgia." You're so cute. You throw up both hands in the air. "Touchdown, Georgia."
That same day, she shared this story with me, and we have pictures of it, and a little bulldog statue in the backyard, them dancing around it, touchdown, Georgia. Touchdown, Georgia. And
Holding their hands up.
Holding their hands up. And I think every time the dogs hang 7, I'll always remember that, and I'll think of that,
Touchdown, Georgia!
Yay! Touchdown!
Asa? Touchdown, Georgia?
Asa normally does it more than Eli. Touchdown, Georgia!
Good boy.
One of the things I really miss with the boys is seeing you guys walking them over from the house to the playground when we'd be outside with the girls playing. And over time, how it would take you a while, you were holding them and then walking, just newly learning how to walk, and then later on it was just take no time. You just had a beeline over there. The boys knew exactly, and you didn't have to hold their hand. They just were running out ahead of you. certainly missed that a lot.
My next favorite memory was at the Kirby's house a couple of months later, and we were there, and with Justin and me and Justin and Brian were spending some guy time together, and just because we hadn't caught up in a while, and I just remember the boys, and they had these high chairs in the kitchen, and I remember sitting there eating and looking back, and they're climbing up these high chairs, and they're sort of in inverted positions, reaching up and grabbing and leaning back and coming over into the chair. And I remember thinking, these guys are going to be incredible athletes. They're really daring in how they went up things, and they just had a lot of strength for little men.
I loved swinging the swings down by the lake when they were real tiny.
And also, I was so thrilled when your daddy and your papa put those swings up down at the lake, and I had such fun taking you down to the lake, putting you in those little swings, and I enjoyed singing to you during those times.
And some other memories I have of the boys are in that maroon stroller, double stroller that you had, either walking out, I would pass you, I was probably going way too fast, and you'd be pushing the boys and Fox would be on the side. And also, seeing them in that maroon stroller, you'd be pushing them down to the swings down there. And I love seeing you down there swinging the boys. You'd swing one, and then turn around and swing the other one, swing one, and swing the other one. It was so cute.
Some of the favorite memories I have of Asa and Eli was when we would go on our playground and slide down the slide with them in our laps. Sometimes we would push them on the swings down by the lake, and we would have such a great time. I miss them so much. I wish they could be here with us right now.
We're just so thankful that your friends have decided to make this video for you, because it gives us a chance to tell us how much we love you, how sad we are to remember the anniversary of the boy's death, but how thankful we are the way that God has used the two of you in this situation to bring glory to Him, and to show so many people about the power of faithfulness and the power of love, both of which the two of you have really exhibited to us and to countless others.
Your strength and your faith has been a real inspiration to me and Colleen, and it's
a lot of other people.
Yeah, and
who know you and who don't know you.
You're absolutely amazing people, and it really means a lot to have your friendship to us and to have known you, and we feel blessed to have known y'all and Ace and Eli.
The impressions they've made on me, or your family, is your faith during this. You're showing the temporality, the shortness of life, and just giving me more appreciation for spending with my family and loving everybody I can and being compassionate to others.
I just want to thank you guys for always including us on mailings and pictures of the boys and wonderful updates. I just felt like we knew them even though we only met them that one time, and you guys were so good to include us on that. I just am so thankful that we were a part of that, so thank you so much.
There's a ton of memories with those guys. I was honored and privileged to be Uncle Age with them. That's a responsibility that I loved and cherished, and I love you guys, and I'll miss those boys, and thanks so much for letting me be part of their lives.
From knowing the boys, I think it's really impacted me. From knowing the whole Kirby family, it's definitely made me appreciate those special moments with my children, and really hold them and really consider spending time with them, and just being thankful for every little moment that I have with them. And seeing the Kirby's faith, it's encouraged me of the joys of heaven as I consider God's Word and the promises that the Kirbys stand on, and the same promises I stand on. And I long for the day in heaven when I'll get to see that special, beautiful reunion of the Kirbys with their boys.
We love you guys.
We miss you. Bye.